So first of all, a very big thank you for agreeing to do this with me, Hamid. And before we start, I just, if you introduce yourself just briefly so that, the people...
Sure, yeah. My name is Hamid Khafagy. I am an executive IT architect working out of Dubai. This is the MEA organization. And being an architect, basically I get involved in a variety of different architecture solutioning for different industries, banking, governments, smarter cities, that kind of thing. And lately I've been very heavily involved in cloud. And one of my kind of extracurricular activities that I do is I'm the co-chair for the Cloud Computing Reference Architecture for IBM, the so-called CSP, which is Cloud Service Provider discipline, basically.
Well, great. I think that's one of the reasons why I asked you for this, because of your huge experience. And the real reason for this is we are getting so much information about Bluemix lately. We get lots of links, lots of material, presentations, pricing examples. And I think many of this is available for IBMers, so if anyone wants to go, they can. But I wanted to spend with you maybe 10 minutes asking you a couple of questions which I think would be a good start for everyone who's interested in Bluemix.
It's my pleasure.
To understand, a couple of things, and then later on they can go into the details by reading these presentations and material that is available there. So my first question to you would be, in very short words, what exactly is a Bluemix?
Okay, Bluemix is a new announced product from IBM, which we call Platform as a Service. It's a cloud-based offering targeted primarily for professional developers. It has been built on top of an industry open source product known as Cloud Foundry, and there are a number of different platform as a services offering from a number of different companies based on that platform, and Bluemix is the IBM version of that.
Okay, we also hear a lot about the soft layer, right? A company that we acquired sometimes last year, I believe. So what is the difference between Bluemix and soft layer?
Okay, the terminology in the cloud has this notions of infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a services. And the idea is that those three different tiers or models kind of play to the needs of different users. So in the infrastructure space, that is primarily targeted to kind of sysadmins, people who are very deep into technology. Platforms as a service is geared towards developers, and software as a service is geared towards end users, basically. And soft layer is the IBM products in the infrastructure as a service kind of notion of cloud. Bluemix is the second leg up, which is platform as a service. The difference between the two is pretty much how much effort one is willing to do to develop an application. But if you have an application and you want to develop it, you can use either of the two. What Bluemix will give you is speed, agility, and what we call today DevOps.
Okay, you mentioned that the Bluemix is targeting the developers. I have heard from many people, maybe they're not informed enough, that it's for the developers, the individual developers, like the individuals, the students, not for the professional. So you mentioned that it's for professionals. So can you clarify, is Bluemix for individual developers or for the professional developers as well? So like so-called enterprise developers.
Okay, all right. Developers are developers. Okay, whether you're a hobbyist or a professional developer, what you do is you write code and you use services from different middlewares and APIs and things of that nature. Bluemix is a platform that any one of those development or developer spectrum can use. Usually, we have been hearing a lot lately about developers or software is eating the world, and the idea behind that is one of innovations that has been happening lately have been fueled pretty much by software, and software is built by developers, and for developers to write codes, they need very effective, very productive tools. So there has been really a revolution in that space, helping developers build applications or tools or utilities very, very fast. And Bluemix is such a tool that helps developers to do that. So usually the industry looks at developers, professional developers, from two perspectives. There is the Silicon Valley types developers. These are the people who are building things like Facebook and Google and WhatsApp and these kind of tools. And there is the enterprise developers. These are the people who are primarily interested in solving business problems, integrating new developments with back-end systems to develop new kind of value for the enterprise. Bluemix also plays to this kind of developers. So in essence, Bluemix is a development tool for almost every developer, be it a hobbyist who's trying to learn coding or someone who does this for a living, either to develop the next innovation or the next enterprise application.
Okay, so you are saying that the Bluemix is important and it's growing as we speak, right? So why is Bluemix important for IBM, and why should IBM care about Bluemix?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question. As I pointed out earlier, our industry is going through a very serious phase of innovation, and we've been seeing a lot of examples. The $18 billion deal for WhatsApp comes to mind. Instagram was also sold for $1 billion, and these deals keeps coming. And essentially, the question behind this innovation is fundamentally developers and new software breeds of products and services. Now, this industry has been very active in that space with many, many different competitive products today for almost a decade. And IBM has been focused primarily on what is known as on-premise software, which is if you want to build something, you have to buy the tools, you have to spend the time to set it up, etc., and then value comes. So if you look at things from time to value perspective, cloud offerings have been very effective in providing this value. And this is where Bluemix come into the equation, because Bluemix is an IBM version of platform as a service for pretty much all developers to help them build applications very, very fast, be it for the enterprise, be it for the next idea that you're building, or even for learning about programming. So from that perspective, IBM is more or less filling up a very important hole or gap in our portfolio of offerings, which is badly needed since the space is pretty much filled with many, many different players. And especially in the enterprise will want to come to a player like IBM who understands what enterprise is about, primarily from the areas of building secured applications and highly available infrastructures and things of that nature. So I think that was a very badly needed kind of offering from IBM from an enterprise perspective, and IBM has pretty much fulfilled this call. And if you look at it from that perspective, then Bluemix is good for IBM, is good for the industry, and in my opinion, if anybody, for anybody who cares about the IBM future growth, Bluemix would definitely play an important role in taking IBM to this cloud nirvana, if you like.
That's a very good point that you mentioned, that is important for the future, right? How far down the future we are looking at?
Well, the future is today, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Okay, as I pointed out earlier, for all intents and purposes, IBM is, in a way, is a latecomer to this game. And for that reason, we are kind of accelerating our offerings by simply acquisitions such as SoftLayer. Okay, it gives us kind of leg into the infrastructure as a service offerings. And Bluemix was built on Cloud Foundry, which is again an open source, which is something that you don't have to build from scratch, you just build on top of it. And what also, aside from the accelerated development process, it also helps create an ecosystem around a platform that has been adopted and endorsed by many other players, such as HP, Cisco, and others.
Thank you. That's a good point. So, is all IBM software already available via Bluemix, or if it's not, when do you think it is going to be?
Okay. Usually, if you are developing some application or some solution of any kind, developers worry about two things. The runtime, which is fundamentally which programming language you're going to be using, and what services your code will be exploiting. So when you talk about services, I'm referring to things like databases, messaging, mobile backends, things like in the area of security, logons and stuff like that. So all these services, rather than having a developer writing it from scratch, companies have been building products called middleware, and all the developers need to do is write code and make calls to these services. Cloud Foundry or architecture is built such that it's an extremely rich platform in terms of making services available to developers. And from that perspective, what IBM has been doing very lately was to make our middleware products available or accessible through the Bluemix platform. So when a developer writes code and they want to make a call to a database, they have a choice database to offer. So they can use the IBM DB2, they can use a third party like Oracle, they can use even open source such as MySQL or PostgreSQL or these kinds. So this is what is known as services. So if you look at it from IBM perspective, IBM adds to this catalog of services on Bluemix using our own products. So it becomes the choice of the developer or his enterprise as to which of these products to use. And as you would expect, making our products accessible and available in a platform like that will take time, because each development lab will have to enable their products and onboard these products on that platform so that they become accessible and available to developers. And as I said earlier, in a DevOps model, it is not a case of a developer writing code and developing and testing an application and handing it off to an operation deployment team to take care of the deployment and the operation aspects. DevOps combines these two disciplines together, whereby pretty much we have been kind of cutting the barriers between all these different players. So a developer is interested not only in writing code and having access to the APIs for our services, but also in the deployments of these services. So in a nutshell, our products, our middleware products, are planned to be on this platform over time. Today we have reasonable, some of them, but we're not at the end of the job yet. In addition to that, we have also other third-party players as well as open source products as well to provide choices for the end user,
okay,
for the programmer in this case.
I will come to this point a bit later, but I just wanted to ask you something else. Is like you mentioned before that IBM is a latecomer, so I would expect we have quite some competitors in these areas as well. How do we compare to these competitors, and who are they?
Okay, that's an important question, as a matter of fact. As I pointed out, at the time when cloud became kind of evident from an enterprise perspective, the industry has been witnessing this massive innovation cycle. And during this time, many players have been forthcoming and presenting themselves as the catalyst to that innovation. Again, across that spectrum of infrastructure as a service, platform as a services, software as a services. So from a competition perspective, in the platform as a service perspective, if you think of developers as the kind of innovators of the world, the Silicon Valley types, the main competitors on that space are Heroku, and there is also Red Hat has a product called OpenShift. Heroku is definitely ahead of OpenShift, but between these two, these were the two products that have been capturing that the kind of mind share of the innovators, if you like. On the enterprise side of things, the industry today considers Salesforce and Microsoft to be the kind of leaders of that space for platform as a service. Salesforce is coming from their heritage as probably the most significant software as a service company today in the industry, and they had built what they call Force.com platform, and Force.com platform is very much targeted towards the enterprise development. Microsoft, on the other hand, they had built this thing called Azure, and Azure is a very strong actually player in the platforms and services, primarily around the Microsoft platform. Although I have been hearing rumors, I haven't personally validated it yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's correct, that Microsoft is also allowing Linux to be part of their offerings as well.
Okay. Now coming back to the previous point, right? When you said that the developers will access the services that might be databases or any other middleware, how this is going to change the pricing model, right? Where the pricing model will be probably based on pay as you go on or on a subscription model. So is the pricing model for Bluemix already available, and how does it look?
Yes, we do have a completely, not just a price model, it's a different business model actually, the way we should look at it. And Bluemix, the last I checked, has very attractive kind of business model or a pricing model. When I say very attractive, it's because I'm comparing it to the likes of Heroku and OpenShift and the likes. And so basically, they had studied the industry quite well, and today the model that they're using is extremely competitive with everything else. So for example, they give developers or anybody who cares to sign up 30 days free. Okay, this is to test the water and see if this is something that you would like to spend time on and basically build your future on, because tools for developers are everything. Once a developer adopts some tools that they're comfortable with, they will be with these tools for life. The story that comes to mind is Microsoft is where it is today primarily because of their success in that space. And this is now the cloud space, and whoever is going to win the mind share of developers is going to succeed going forward. So this 30 days trial is a very good kind of a whetting tool, if you like, to whet the appetite of the developers to try the platform. And then they have a pricing model based on two things. One is the runtime, and the other one is which services you will be using. Runtime is, as I said before, is about which programming language and the SDK that comes with the development language and all of that. So for the runtime, they have a kind of a what we call freemium model. A freemium model simply says that you can use it for as much as you want. The first chunk will be for free, and subsequently you're going to pay by the meter. And in the case of IBM runtime on Bluemix, we have allowed 375 hours free, followed by a pricing model, metered pricing model to the tune of 7 cents per hour. I would like to qualify the word hour here because in the case of Bluemix, IBM doesn't call it hour, it's called GP hour, which is in reference to memory. So it's basically, rather than simply measuring time, they're measuring the utilization of memory. The second part of the pricing model is around the services. And the services, they have, again, very attractive pricing model in that many of these services actually come for free. There is free allowance for these services, many of them. And then they have kind of two models. One is a metered model, again, and depending on which product you use, it could be 1 cent, 2 cents, it could be sometimes, several $100s, depending on the services you're using. That is the metered model. And the other model is the kind of subscription, which is you pay monthly rates for that particular services. The philosophy behind these two different models is that initially, when you are building something, you're not really sure how much of that is going to be used, especially if you are an innovator building your future kind of innovation idea, like the next WhatsApp, if you like. So not knowing how the market is going to react, it is in your best interest to economize on your expenses. So the metered model is attractive from that perspective. But once your application is up and running and everyone is using it, obviously you want to have stability of your expenses, and you need to know a good idea about your cost structure, and this is where subscription model comes into play. That probably is a good model for the innovators of the world, and this is how the industry has been basically building this model for a number of years now. If you look at it from an enterprise perspective, however, if you are in an enterprise, many of your applications will be built to stay. In which case, probably from the get-go, you will be interested in looking at the subscription model. But if you're building an application that is going to be here today, gone tomorrow, maybe the metered model will be more attractive to you. And this is something that is new thinking for the enterprise. I'm sure many of you have heard about this so-called systems of engagements and systems of records. So much of what we talk about the cloud revolves around the so-called systems of engagement. In a system of engagement, there is a chance you will be building an application for maybe a month or two, maybe a promotional application or something, and in which case a metered model would be very attractive to you. So I think that model is really excellent. When I looked it up, I felt that this model is not alien to the industry as a whole, and at the same time it's so flexible. People can pick and choose whatever they like to do, and more importantly, it gives you a kind of a risk-free kind of trial to try the IBM technology. I think over time, once we get this ecosystem going, I'm very confident that this platform is going to be in the core of IBM kind of future as a growth engine.
Oh, this is a very good point. I just want to mention one thing that it is probably fair to say that IBM did a good job when we did the pricing, because we did take everything into account what the developers need, and I think that 30 days free, it's almost a must in this space. So I think, like you said, it's attractive and it's there to cater almost every need. But just before we really close this thing, I think the lots of innovation these days and the development is happening in the mobile space. So we can probably develop the mobile applications with the Bluemix as well. But is Bluemix Worklight and is Worklight Bluemix?
No, actually, these are two different products. Worklight is the IBM development tool for mobile applications that can also be deployed on the cloud. But ultimately, it is a traditional product that developers use. It's based on the very famous Eclipse platform. It's a Java platform for all intents and purposes, and it's an excellent platform. However, in the case of Bluemix, Bluemix is another development
it as an IDE on the cloud. IDE is the integrated development environment that typically developers live and die with. So Bluemix is a different IDE. However, Bluemix allows anything built on premise, including things you developed using, let's say, Worklight or even vanilla flavor Eclipse, to simply be uploaded to the Bluemix environment and be integrated with everything else. So if you are a mobile developer, you have a choice between the two. If you're very comfortable with Worklight, that does not preclude you from leveraging Bluemix richness. But if you are new to the mobile developments, my suggestion is to try Bluemix first, because Bluemix comes with new tools, if you like, that the industry has endorsed. And by that, I'm referring to something that the mobile space calls mobile back-end as a service. The idea is that when you develop a mobile application, many of the services that you as a developer will need, you will either have to host them or you have them offered to you. And mobile back-end as a service is a collection of common services that have been built by other people, and they have been made available to you as a developer. So if you use Bluemix, you have access to all these goodies, if you like. But the two products are two different products. They are complementary in some fashion. If you look at it from an enterprise perspective, and if you have very heavy integration to the back end, probably Worklight would probably be more effective in getting things done. As far as also security and all of that, if you want to build something on-premise from end-to-end, probably Worklight at this point in time is the right choice for you. So there are many different really considerations, but ultimately to give you a simple answer, the two are not the same. They are two different things.
Well, Hamid, that would be all. Thank you really very much for your time, and thank you for all your insights. I think this is a very good start for everyone who wants to know more about the Bluemix, and for more information, I'm sure they will find them.
It's my pleasure.
The Bluemix.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.